Okay, the market is as flat as they come. 13,514 is where we stand at. I mean, this, of course, comes after another strong up week that we've had. The Nifty gained 250 points last week, and it's been week after week of strong gains. We have the management of Cummins India joining us right now. Ashwath Ram, Managing Director at the company, is with us to take some questions. Mr. Ram, thanks very much for joining us. Great to have you here. This is Prashant this side. There is a Kotak report, Mr. Ram, which says, and I quote, "We estimate the additional 5G opportunities at 200 crores per annum for Cummins India on an annual basis and growing over the next 5 years." So let's just get that out of the way straight up, Mr. Ram. Is that a reasonable figure? Can you talk about, how you think about these numbers and the opportunity that 5G offers?
Yeah, they seem to be reasonable numbers. The 5G opportunity is pretty global, so it's not just related to India. As a matter of fact, India will roll into 5G over the next 2 years, whereas some of the other markets, especially those in Southeast Asia, markets like Philippines and China and a few others, have already started a major implementation of 5G, and because the throughput on 5G is so intensive, you need many more stations to supply power, many more towers, and also many more data centers. And we've already begun supplying gensets to many of those markets, and we have the best tailored product for these markets. So we see this as a very exciting opportunity for us moving forward.
So this 200 crores is right now the export opportunity, right? Because we don't know what the timelines here in India will be.
Exactly. So in the short term, it's an export opportunity, but data centers, even in 4G, as people are working out of home and as the usage of data is getting more and more intensive, that portion of demand is also starting to pick up. So in the short term, as far as India is concerned, we'll benefit from data centers. In the long term, we'll benefit from the 5G rollouts. And some of those benefits we already started seeing in other markets for export.
Right. Mr. Ram, could you tell us in terms of margins, etc.? This is what kind of are these? These are regular gensets, right? This is not. And because you're up there in terms of suppliers, quality of supplies, etc., this would be a revenue boost, but no change in margin profile or anything, right?
Typically, we make better margins when we export product out of India. So that portion of it helps with the overall profitability. But these are not special as far as the towers are concerned. But sometimes what happens is you need to parallel and you need to create a lot of linked infrastructure. And those have an opportunity for us to upsell and put in more controllers, more telematics equipment, etc., along with the gensets as well. And so those are streams of additional revenue for us.
So when you say that margins are better, what are the margins that you would be making on this? Could you give us a number on that? And would it require any sort of an investment by you?
Yeah, but I won't give you an exact number, just to say that typically in India, the margins go anywhere from 10 to 14%, whereas for export products, they can go anywhere from 15 to 20%. So it's a significant difference in margin. It depends on the product, depends on the mix. There are so many variables, so many differences in markets, but there is at least on an average a 5% incremental margin improvement when you export versus when we sell domestically in India, because India is one of the most cost competitive power generation markets in the world.
Okay, we'll take that point. What about the capex recovery that you're seeing in India? Are we seeing any nascent signs, any numbers over there that you could help us with?
Yeah, I think I'd like to make 3 points over here. The first one is that as we are seeing capacity utilization improve, we are also seeing that there is need for some balancing and incremental capex starting to come in. The second portion is that many parts of the industry have started to recover from COVID, and so some of the equipment purchases they had postponed for the last 4 or 5 months, there is a catch up going on, and so we are seeing some portions of capex recovery in that cycle as well. And the third area is that the government has started releasing funds, quite a bit of release of funds on infrastructure to boost the infrastructure spending. And we are starting to see some benefits in capex recovery there as well.
Mr. Ram, compared to pre-COVID, I mean, this is a number which I think everybody is pretty used to now. How far, what percentage of pre-COVID are you at? And we get these numbers across industries. I mean, could you provide us with something similar for the local business, domestic business?
Yeah, somewhere from 70 to 85%, and on the path to get back to full utilization in the next couple of quarters.
Full utilization in the next couple of quarters, and you're saying about 70 to 75% of pre-COVID you're already at. Exports, I think, grew about 18% in Q2. How will they look in the third quarter, and what's the trajectory going to be there?
The third quarter typically is a slightly weaker quarter historically, because that's the year end for most businesses globally, and so they do inventory correction and those kinds of things. But we expect to do reasonably well. So we are not seeing any significant drop off in demand. So we expect to do reasonably well there.
Mr. Ram, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure. Appreciate you sort of answering those questions. And thank you for coming on here at CNBC TV 18. Hope to speak with you soon again. So thank you, sir. That's Mr. Ram at Cummins India telling us how business has been progressing. So at about 75% of pre-COVID levels locally. Exports, the trajectory will look better. 5G opportunity roughly in the range of about 200 crores a year and growing. And that's most of that. I mean, actually, all of that is largely export. And whenever the local sort of, testing, rollout, everything starts, they will start to see revenues from the local market as well. The stocks moved up a little bit. 591 is where Cummins is trading at right now. We will take a very quick break here. Up next, we have Sanjay Agarwal, Managing Director of Century Plyboards, joining us. There has been some industry developments there, especially in the state of Uttar Pradesh. How will that impact existing incumbent plyboard makers like Century? We discuss that with the management on the other side.